Welcome to IT Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Joe Cook, got Justin Wells. We got Ian Boyd, and I know, jumping in. All of us are kind of well-traveled. Ian and I going across the country, going to Atlanta. We'll have SEC Media Days takeaways, including some stuff that Ian and I didn't get to cover in our quick little recap video. But make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And, of course, if you have not done so yet, well, listen in the background. You can tell someone is telling you to go to InsideTexas.com. $1 will get you access all the way up until August 30th. That's kickoff of the Ohio State game. That is when you're going to want everything, all the recruiting updates, all the team insight, more coverage from SEC Media Days. We won't bombard you with the Arch Manning stuff. We know the national media is going crazy with that right now. We're definitely going to cover it and cover it properly. So make sure you go to Inside Texas. Also, our guy Paul Wadlington, I read it on the way there. 2025 Longhorn Football Prospectus, the best preview for Texas Longhorns football. If you think the preview magazines are good, well, this is a preview magazine that's actually good that covers Texas Longhorns football. So go buy it. We have the link in the description. Any way you want to get your books, that's where you can go.
What if they want to be bombarded with Arch Manning stuff?
Well, we can do some of that, but we're gonna do it smartly. We're not gonna do the see. That's the thing, and I think this is a good way to start. You know, Ian, you and I were both there, and we understand that Arch is going to be a hot topic. But I think that the Texas media kind of understands that who are your uncles? You know, what was it like behind Quinn Ewers? That's kind of phased out when it comes to Texas and its media market, and they're asking more, detailed questions because there's a familiarity with Arch. Whereas some of the national people, it's just kind of like, who are your uncles, all that big stuff that can kind of wear probably on Arch, but maybe on Texas fans who see all that same stuff all at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's funny to me, his running ability is still going under the radar a little bit. I had a couple quotes from definitely from Anthony Hill, and I can't remember if one of them was from Michael Taff as well. But Anthony Hill was like, people don't seem to know this guy will take off and run, and he will run away from you. And he's hard to catch, and he does stuff like that to us in defense all the time. There's like, how many angles are there to Arch that are actually really big? There's a lot.
Yeah.
So all of them, except for that one, probably, a lot of them are kind of inundating the college football world. You got the uncles thing, right? Texas and NIL, replacing Quinn Ewers, general hype around Texas and him as the figurehead of it. Arch is like the passer whose uncles both won Super Bowls from the pocket, more or less. Eli kind of drifting out a little bit when he threw that helmet catch.
Arch is in that realm of LeBron James, Bryce Harper hype. When they came
Who's that second guy you mentioned?
He plays baseball.
Baseball?
Gosh.
Yes, Ian. Yes, I know you live out in Podunk, Liberty Hill, but yes, stickball. Bryce
Actually, baseball's pretty big around here.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm hoping you know that too. Like Arch has that type of expectation. When LeBron was coming out of high school, when Bryce Harper was coming out of high school, both on the cover of Sports Illustrated, it's kind of evolved in that. I am shocked we haven't seen Arch Manning on a Sports Illustrated cover yet. Like, I am genuinely shocked. They go into Columbus and win week 1. I think we're going to have a cover. But no, that's kind of what I think. That's what reminds me of Arch, the madness around him. It's just the expectations are on the level of a LeBron, on a Bryce Harper, and man, that's a mountain to climb, guys.
One of the other things is he's I don't want to say breaking contained, but he's breaking out of the sports world. Like, Wall Street Journal had a guy there, and I don't think everybody's reading the Wall Street Journal for their college football takes. But the Wall Street Journal had a guy there to talk about Arch. So he's kind of broken contained in a similar way that the Mannings did, kind of transcended the sports world like all those guys. transcended sports, got on to national stuff. And he's got the other thing that's the big, dichotomy, I guess, to look at is that he's only started 2 games. And Arch is the first person to tell you that. He's like, I've only started 2 games. Like, what are we doing here? But no matter how often he says that, Justin, everybody's just going to fly past that and either be like, he sucks or I'm putting all my money on a Heisman future for him.
I love that he has the deprecating attitude to say, when someone comes up to him for a picture or an autograph, he's like, why? I've only played in 2 games. Why do you want a picture with me? Why do you want my autograph? Like, I love that because there's a genuine organic take from him that he feels that way. Like, that's not fake at all. Like, he does not like the attention. He thinks it's not merited. He hasn't earned it. And it may come off as, oh, shucks, that's swell, but that's really who he is. Like, he's like, guys, seriously, I haven't done crap yet. Can we just pump the brakes? Now, when he does start accomplishing things, this thing's going to take off. Okay, it's going to be like a rocket. It's going to take off. But I love his self-deprecating attitude in some instances where people will come up to want to take his picture or. And did you also notice from the step he walked in to the step he walked out, he was on camera. Everything from meeting little kids after the event, taking pictures, signing autographs, like every step he took is documented. I got to tell you, that has got to be a lot.
He talked about who he lived with and some of the guys, and it's a very interesting crew. There's some scholarship guys, a few walk-ons that he lives with.
Yeah.
So he's not living in a penthouse on 4th Street. He's living probably in some house in a college house like I lived in, like we all lived in, with 5 dudes, who's going to do the dishes, that type of thing.
Isn't his house the one that was doing that TikTok prank where they called up their teammates and were like, hey, just want to call him to say goodnight?
Yeah, exactly. So
he's great.
Parker.
Go look that up on Instagram or whatever. It's pretty funny.
Him and Parker Livingstone were behind that.
Which I think reveals just the normal aspect of him.
He's a big kid, guys. He is a giant kid, but they're just surrounded by an enormous amount of hype.
And then
their house is like everybody on the team whose photo looks like they would be in a frat. We're all there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can tell by what he was wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he was coming to talk to the dean about being his frat getting suspended or something.
Yeah.
Like it was Animal House-ish.
Sports coat and khaki pants. That was my Monday routine. So good to see.
How did Viore not fix him up? I don't know. We got to talk about that.
I don't know. What about the other number 16, Ian? I think I was speaking with someone just before we got on, and we're talking about how Michael Taft is very conscientious, had his tie embroidered with the initials of everybody who died at Camp Mystic, from the directors to the counselors, and it hit close to home for Taft. Those were people who were members of his church, members of his community. I thought that was a great gesture from him. I think Taft also, he leans into it with the whole number 16. He told a story about how he played a game with Parker Livingstone about how many number 16 jerseys would show up and how many would say Taft. And he told a story about Colt McCoy right before, I think, the Cotton Bowl, said, you know what, Michael? All those number 16s in the stands, the only ones that say Taft belong to your family. And that's Colt McCoy, who probably did the same thing to Earl Thomas, telling him that. But, aside from, being the Arch reaction piece, what were some big things you got maybe from Michael Taft and his time with the media?
He offered some interesting praise of Jelani McDonald. I was kind of trying to press him on who's going to play, who's going to be the new Jahdae Barron and dime, who's going to be that guy that can just play all over the field and have an impact. And he was trying to give general answers, and then they were pulling him away, the SID or whoever was pulling him away. And then he just turned, and I was trying to press him just before he left, and he turns to me and just goes, Jelani McDonald is going to be a stud. And it's kind of like, give me like the nod or the wink. That's like, that's the guy. That's the guy that's going to have that kind of role. So that was interesting. That was nice to glean. He talked about what he's done to try to be better against the SEC grind. Him and Anthony Hill are both asked and both had some pretty pointed comments about, the SEC is a different deal. Holding up week to week in the SEC is different. It's hard. And they've both had to learn to adjust a little bit. Hill and much of the team is doing like yoga once a week in the off season, just to, flexibility.
Just to do something together.
No, no, it's like it's not mandatory, but it's mandatory. They're trying to stretch and build flexibility in those muscles to reduce injury. I'm not sure what their tricks are, but everybody on the team is learning about the importance of recovery. They also, Joe, Anthony Hill said that he was asked who the most physical game or the most physical teams in the SEC were. And he gave it a moment's thought. And it's funny. He didn't say like the rivals. He didn't say like every week's a grind, man. He pointed out, he was like, Georgia. Okay. We kind of expect that. And then he said Florida. And Texas whooped Florida. But he was like, Florida had a different level of physicality and size. They came right at us in a way that their other teams didn't. That's not what you asked me, but I just thought that was interesting.
I thought it was interesting, Justin, that we're going to focus a lot on Arch. We talked about everything that happened with him. Steve Sarkisian is the play caller, offensive mind. But Texas brought 2 defensive players to Atlanta. And the defense, at least last year and maybe even some this year, might be what ends up carrying the team a little bit more. Or maybe you have more sure known quantities on defense at this point than you do about the offense.
It's safe to say I'm not going to say carry, but I do know what you mean. The defense is going to be the strength of the team again. I mean, I can say that with Arch Manning, with a Trevor Gooseby, with a Ryan Wingo, with a Trey Wisner. I'm telling you, the defense is going to be what they hang their hat on. Last year, everyone talked up the offense until Georgia came to Austin. And then all of a sudden it flipped. They're like, okay, wait a minute. The offense is pretty good, but man, this defense is different. This defense, we are not talking about them enough. And a shift came in the program, in the locker room, where the leadership came more out of the defense than it did on the offense. And it was because they were the better side of the ball. And they had shown that in practice. This spring wasn't that much different. This is a defensive team. I get it. Sark is an offensive-minded guy. You got a quarterback that loves to throw bombs. You've got so many things that you could talk about, but Anthony Hill, Michael Taft, Colin Simmons, 5 new defensive linemen from the portal. There is Jelani McDonald. There's no short list of guys to talk about on that defensive side. And I think Sark understands that now. I think at first he was a little hesitant, but now he's leaned into it. Because honestly, you know how you compete week in and week out in the SEC? It's not with high-scoring offenses. It's with badass defense. And they learned that. And I think that's why they put so much emphasis on rebuilding the D-line. They were stopping the run last year, which was really screwing with a lot of teams in this conference. It forced them to pass into one of the best secondaries in the nation. And so it was a really good yin and yang, I think, from both sides of the ball. But don't get it twisted. The defense is going to be the reason. If Texas makes a run at the Natty, the defense is what they're going to hang their hat on.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor, and that is Academy Sports and Outdoors.
All right. Who's ready?
I'm open.
I need to try to figure out what school that is, because I saw the Texas historical marker there in that little ad, and
maybe that commercial was longer.
You got 15 minutes or 15 seconds. A couple good ones from our guy, David Keith Williams. I don't know what will happen during Michael Taft's senior season, but for him to be an All-American in 2024 has to be the most productive walk-on in the history of the program.
Ricky Williams.
Well,
what?
Ricky Williams was a walk-on.
I'd like to ask Mac Brown that.
Why?
What are you talking about?
I don't
pay his tuition.
I don't think that there was a Heisman-sized loophole for him.
Loophole?
I don't know.
Do you know that was a common practice.
And I know he got baseball money, but like
to be drafted and sometimes for the baseball team to lend you out to that school until you come back and play. I think Quan Cosby did something similar, but he played it full on.
All right, real
legitimate walk on. Okay, he's right. But I was getting y'all on a technicality.
You were.
Ricky Williams was a walk on. I just wanted to make sure we get that all clear. But David Williams,
I'm sure there's a better one, but the first one that comes to my mind is another safety.
Dylan Haynes.
No, Marcus Griffin.
Yeah,
Marcus was pretty good.
He didn't get an All-American, I don't think. I bet he was.
No, he didn't. But he started in 2006, I think.
I think he's
or 2007.
I think both of those years he started. He was on the field in 4th and 2 against USC because
Huff was at the line.
Maybe he wasn't. Didn't like two guys.
Huff left after 05. Huff and Marcus didn't play in the same secondary.
Two guys got injured on the last USC touchdown. One was a corner, and Michael
Terrell Brown broke his arm.
Yeah, did safety get hurt too?
So and so hit him.
Yeah, Michael Griffin, I think.
It was Michael Griffin that hit him, and his arm got broken because it was squeezed between Dwayne Jarrett's pads.
Yeah.
It was the angle that he had it.
I can't remember. Well, anyway, Marcus
was right in front of me. I was in that end zone.
I bet Griffin was all Big 12 at least one of those 2 years. Because he was like the Texas leading tackler like 2 years in a row, I think.
Definitely 06.
But I think, I struggle to think of walk-ons that aren't kickers. And
right.
The ones that do stand out are, obviously Taft, Griffin, Haynes. Haynes was a, whipping boy for a lot of other problems that were going on with Texas football. He wasn't perfect.
Wasn't Gideon on a walk-on?
No, he was recruited.
I know what that answer was.
One thing, Ian, that I noticed, and maybe it's because it was SEC media days, it didn't seem like there was a ton of talk about the Ohio State game. Like it seemed like there was a lot of focus on Texas and Georgia, especially with the recruiting wins Texas had the day that Sark was up there, the day that Kirby was up there. And it was funny. There was a little local media availability, and we had to wait on Atkinson to announce on the Pat McAfee show. And we're like, hey, Sark, were you watching? He's like, yeah, good news. But, he can't say anything.
He can't say much about it.
Yeah, but he's like, were you watching Pat McAfee? He's like, yeah. But it seems, and like I said, maybe it's an SEC thing. There wasn't a lot of talk about the Ohio State game. There was some, but it didn't seem like that was much of a big focus.
I'm a little surprised by that, too, because I would think that would be an angle for the beat media in Austin to kind of go after compared to the national media. Even the national. Hey, you love wasting your time on Big Noon Kickoff one more Saturday.
It almost makes sense, though, because the beat media is going to have the next month of availabilities to hammer that game.
Availabilities. Oh, well, there'll be some in practice. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And a lot of that'll be Ohio State because that'll start to loom. It's the big deal. By the way, it's awesome that Arch Manning's first game is the guy. And the season is not going to start off with like a ramp. Just dropped into the Shark Tank week 1 against the defending champions. It's awesome. I derailed myself. I think just there's so much going on with Texas versus the SEC, especially when Sark was up there, Don Corleone style, snatching the best players out of Georgia. So the Texas-Georgia thing is huge right now. Like Georgia's like hanging on precariously to the top spot in the league, and Texas is obviously trying to take it. Then there's it seems like that was the main story of the week. That was what grabbed everybody's attention was Texas has Arch Manning, who, by the way, they took from Georgia in recruiting. Texas is snatching the best defenders out of the state of Georgia 2 years in a row. So some of the best players. Georgia doesn't like it. Kirby Smart's up there talking about how they're not transactional and basically whining and bitching about what's going on.
Ian, I heard that Kirby was like irritated on the podium. I was talking to Trey Elling yesterday. He's been at SEC Media Days. He said there was a tinge of irrationality from Kirby yesterday or David.
There was in his opening monologue. But what's funny is what came after that was like what felt like 10 questions in a row from Texas media asking him about the budding Texas rivalry.
And Pete Makos just wrote about that on 3. And I'm going to try to get him to bring that over. But how it's not a rivalry. It's like LSU and Bama. LSU and Bama are not natural rivals. They never have been. They've been in the same league, but they are not like traditional, like, oh, it's Bama week. Like, they are rivals based off of good quality play at similar times. Alabama and Georgia are the same thing. Like, they're not like traditional, like the Yellowhammer, Peach battle for, I-40 or whatever it is. Like, they are rivals because of being good at the same time.
Yeah, but Joe, the same is
Georgia could probably become.
The same is true of the Lakers and the Celtics. But for the period in which it is a rivalry, it's about as good as it gets.
Yes.
I think Texas and Georgia could be on that level if and only if Texas can actually get some scoreboard wins when the game is being played and not just in recruiting.
I like that, Lakers Celtics. Because, there's no regionality. There's really no regionality to the NBA anymore, if there ever was any.
That's gone. That's a dying league.
No. Because in the conference playoffs, you play the same teams over and over again if you're both like serious franchises.
Yeah, but West.
Like the NFL.
I get what you mean, Lakers Celtics.
Not the same.
But to meet Lakers Celtics, you got to keep battling in the SEC championship game. You got to keep getting to the college football playoff and setting up something. You can't just have thrilling regular season games that go one way or the other. You got to be meeting in the finals. That's what made Lakers Celtics so captivating in the 80s.
It's not on that level yet, but you can't tell me that this isn't one of the fiercest, most competitive two teams going off right now in college football.
Right.
Like if we tell ourselves that this is not a budding rivalry, maybe a short-term rivalry, but a budding and important rivalry, we're just going to sound like Texas fans are like, A&M's not a rivalry anymore. They're not even in the same league. It's like, okay, then how come you talk about them online 24/7, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're getting with Georgia. That's the team. We talk about them all the time.
It's being created. There has by natural causes, a Georgia-Texas rivalry is being created. It looks like those are the top two teams in the SEC at the moment.
Yeah.
They battled twice last year, including the SEC championship, and they've had major recruiting battles over the last 2 consecutive cycles. It's kind of an organically built rivalry. And, guys, it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It is not going anywhere. Did y'all notice that Sugar Poppy changed his name to Splenda Daddy?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, Justin.
I noticed that a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't acknowledge it at the time. I want to. I like that. I'm a Splenda guy in my iced tea, so I like that. And I like Scott in Texas. I think we're all here to learn, and I think Scott in Texas learned some stuff here today on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel.
So an idea I have about a comparison is what could be happening with Oregon and Ohio State. There is literally nothing linking those two together except for a new realigned conference. And those teams, well, with the exception of the conference title game, like you had the 1 point Will Howard forgot how much time was left. You saw them play again in the Rose Bowl and just get beat. Like those are two teams that are becoming rivals by consequence, not because Oregon hates Ohio.
Those happen every decade, and I love it because those become really good.
Mm-hmm.
Those battles become fierce.
And there may be some recruiting overlap with,
That's definitely part of it because essentially we're getting to a point when Kirby Smart lines up against Texas across the field. He's going to see a lot of Peach State kids he recruited for 4 years.
Exactly. So that's going to be fun to track. Ian, anything else big from the defense, whether it's Anthony Hill, Taff? I know you were paying a lot of attention to what some of the stuff was saying, that you have stuff coming out later today on defense.
So Joe here got a quote from Taff on Texas's use of cover 3. And he mentioned it. There's a few nuggets in there that I'm trying to deep dive. He had some comment about how Andrew Makuba was getting his interceptions last year that I thought was interesting. I also found this old Coach Voss of Make Defense Great Again. If anybody ever sees him online, he's like an amazing resource on scheme for coaches and fans that are really into the nerdy stuff. And I read this article he wrote where he was breaking down all these evolutions in cover 3. He mentioned some stuff I actually didn't know that's kind of more recent.
Really?
And I read this one thing and I was like, oh, that's why Andrew Makuba picked off Carson Beck. That's what the heck he was doing on that one play. I've never understood why Makuba ran across the field to pick that pass off, if it was just like amazing instincts or what. But so I'm working on a sort of a longer article that'll be out today on Texas's use of cover 3 and how kind of the defense is forming their strategy for the new year, what's going to change. Some of it'll be a little bit of summary of what I've been writing all off season, but it's interesting for every year that they've gotten better on defense under Sark. They've also tended to evolve almost every year and do things either a little bit differently or a lot differently each year. They've been tinkering quite a bit, and I'm going to try to anticipate the next tweaks.
And the tinkering is not just in the coverage part. It's really they've been tinkering at all different levels. You know, the defensive line played a little bit differently in 2021 than it did in 2022, and then 2023, 2024. The linebackers were different, the coverages were different, and I think I've somehow found a thread on Inside Texas where it's like, well, if Gary Patterson came in and helped, why don't we just hire Gary Patterson? There's an ego factor, but like, you hire consultants. You know, you don't have to, if a consultant comes in with a good idea, you don't just hire the consultant to do the job. You implement them and you pay him for that job. That's what Gary Patterson did with other coaches. You know, Johnny Nansen probably helped with some of the cover 3 or single high aspects. You know, Pete Kwiatkowski had single high backgrounds, and Jimmy Lake's doing his thing in the NFL now, so you can't get him. Well, you're going to get another cover 3 guy. You get Johnny Nansen. You get, you know, even Terry Joseph had some cover 3 single high background. So it's a lot of different development in certain directions, but who knows if you have a lot of that depends on what you change up front. Now you have edges that are going to be the focal point of offensive game plans. Now you have, you know, a bunch of different stuff with linebackers and RPOs and how those are changing how defenses go. So I think what you've seen is Texas is kind of always going to be coming from a similar framework. And all defenses do this. Nobody's just like, we're running cover 3 till we die. You know, they're not Pete Carroll, or they're not, you know, just doing too high in the NFL to protect against Patrick Mahomes throwing deep. You're just going to see flexibility. And I think that's the thing, Ian. We're not exactly sure what that flexibility is going to major in this upcoming year quite yet.
I think I might.
You might. I can't wait to read about it.
But
I want to see Jonah Williams at linebacker and dime.
Yeah, what they're going to do with Jonah Williams is going to be super interesting.
Yes.
Taff had a quote about him where Taff is like, he's a freak. He can run 22 miles an hour. He's 215 pounds and 6'3" or whatever. And he said, I don't know if you saw this in my article, Justin, but he mentioned that Jonah arrived and he was showing him the ropes. And he was like, hey, Jonah, I'll go play down safety, which is a little more complicated. And you can just play back and be fast over the top for now. And don't worry about it. And Jonah's like, no. I want to learn how to do both right now. Like, give me the hard stuff. I'm going to take it on and try it. And so he's saying that Jonah is his mental acuity for the position and willingness to work is up there. So
here's the thing about Jonah that goes a little unsaid. He is highly competitive. Like there's an inner competitiveness with him. You see kids play multiple sports, you think they love sports. No, he's just a very competitive person. Now, if you meet him in the street, he's going to smile. He's going to have a great smile. He's got a really open kind of personality. He really does. On the field, he just wants to compete. We saw it. We saw some doses of it in baseball, which I think actually gave some juice to that locker room, into that dugout. He's going to do the exact same thing in football, except bringing pain. I cannot wait because they have a really good secondary already. There's a lot of parts there that PK is going to have a lot of fun masterminding. But Jonah Williams at linebacker and dime just makes my heart warm.
I'm really excited to see what they do with Jelani because I feel like they could do something similar with him. Like
I'm going to tell you right now, if they wanted to, they could put Jelani McDonald at corner, and Jelani would be one of the best corners in the SEC, period. I want to see where he'll do it again.
I think Jelani would be good in that dime role, but there are a lot of guys who could be good in that dime role. Doesn't have to be someone who's 215 pounds. It could be a cornerback. It could be someone like Jahdae Barron. Before we keep on going, got to show some love to our other sponsor. That is Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Hey, David Williams. Nobody thought Derek Williams was going to grow into a linebacker. And Eric is the only one that thought Jelani was going to grow into a linebacker, and that's because we were being told by sources by the staff that he was going to start out at linebacker. But then we learned after going to see him 9 times in 2 years, he ain't a linebacker. This kid is too flexible, too smart, too cerebral. This guy can play corner. He can play nickel. He can play safety. Jelani can play pretty much everywhere. But I don't ever remember people clamoring for Derek Williams or him to play linebacker. They're just big, big athletes that you think, oh, they could do that, but their best positions are where they're at now.
I was catching a flack on the prospect board this morning from somebody saying I missed big on Jelani. It was like, whoa.
No, you didn't. No,
I didn't like him as a linebacker. And I was not sure.
Right. And that was what I was trying to tell people. He wasn't a linebacker.
I didn't know he could cover in man, and I couldn't find full games of it. If I'd known that, I would not have.
Remember the Army All-American Bowl in San Antonio? They had him line up at corner out of necessity. I think somebody got hurt or reps or whatever. He was stealing reps. He was locking down the 5 stars at that camp, at that event, all for 2 days. Jelani, and I saw him do it in high school. He'd be on one side. Kobe Black would be on the other. Good luck. And he was playing quarterback the whole time. You talk about competitor. Jelani is an animal. We've been on that train forever. I cannot wait to see him break out this year.
So I think with Jelani, I agree. I'm sorry, Dave Williams. I don't remember the Derek Williams to linebacker.
He's too skinny, man. 180 pounds, man.
But as far as the Jelani McDonald part of it, that was in a class, and I'm trying to see who else was in that class with them. It was a 2023 class. It was Arch Manning's class. And the linebackers in that group included, if this would pop up as I'm trying to vamp, Jelani McDonald was kind of like the last one to join the class. So the linebackers were Anthony Hill, and then you had
Leona,
Darian Gillette.
He was more of an edge, but yeah.
Samaje Burrell and Leona LaFau. So
you had 4 linebackers right there.
So that when you're recruiting, you can't really tell a kid like, hey, you're going to be the 5th linebacker.
It's
a lot of linebackers.
That. No,
and I think
you wouldn't.
And the pitch did evolve. The pitch evolved like, we want to see you as an athlete, something like that. And he was in high school at around, I remember at the state track meet his senior year, he was around like 200 pounds or so.
About
and I didn't
205.
think he wasn't like wiry, but I'm like, okay, how much does this kid have room to grow? And so it turns out, they saw him and decided, you know what, we can put you at DB safety until you maybe grow into a linebacker. Didn't happen that way, but he's got that athleticism to stay at safety, at defensive back. And he's just got to be able to pair it with the processing, and that'll be the key. But he's whenever people are like, oh, he's not a returning starter, like, yeah, but he's played a lot. Eric's been hammering that point home. He's played a lot over the course of the past couple
seasons. He's shown enough to make anyone feel really, really good about where he's playing. Like, I thought Jalen Gilbo did a good job at star last year. I think he's going to be better at corner, less responsibility. Jelani, y'all ain't seen nothing. Like, that kid is made to play at those 3 levels, at those 3 spots. That's what Jelani does. And to be fair, his father was a linebacker at TCU. Big guy, like filled out, big guy. So if you were looking at him as a 16 and 17-year-old, like Jeff Choate was, you could somewhat project linebacker because of his family lineage, because of kind of his frame and his body. But what they figured out was that guy was that big, that fast, and that strong, and he didn't lose any twitch or flexibility at that size, and he can cover. Hey, I can find 100 linebackers. I can't find half a dozen kids that can cover well. Jelani's stuck in that secondary.
Do you know what I think was undercovered at media days? Colin Simmons. Wait
till next year, because Colin will be there next year, and it'll be a show.
It probably needed to be this year too.
Yeah, because
why would you think that?
Because he might be the best football player in the country this year.
Yeah, but
maybe that was Sark's way of going. We have an order here, Colin. There's an order here. You don't just jump to media days your true sophomore year. Anthony Hill has seniority. Michael Taft has seniority. Maybe that's why Sark was looking at it. I'm going to tell you this. Arch and Colin will be at Big 12 Media. Big 12. God, Arch and Colin are going to be at the SEC Media Days next year, and it will be a show.
Yeah. I'm curious, though, why maybe that wasn't covered as much. I know Anthony Hill got a handful of questions about him just because he's there. I'm just hard pressed. Did Arch just like occupy that much oxygen, you think, Ian? Or, I just didn't pick up anything about Colin Simmons in a major way for a player who we have been talking about and who the experts
freshman of the year.
Yeah, have been talking about and saying like this could be the best defensive player in the country, 1-2 with Caleb Downs and 1-2-3 with Anthony Hill.
It's kind of like a casuals versus hardcore kind of distinction. Like Arch takes up so much oxygen, obviously. Hill takes up a little. Taft takes up
much because Hill is so quiet. Like he
Taft
doesn't look at attention either. Taft
actually got there wasn't like a big hustle and bustle around him, but there were probably a lot of stories about Taft that came out from media days because the walk-on story, the potential of walk-ons being nixed by future collective revenue sharing stuff. He had a lot of thoughts on that.
His off the field stuff. It's not just helping with the Central Texas floods. He's also helping with Crime Stoppers in Houston. What Michael Taft is doing off the field is admirable.
Just Taft's general pre-campaign for Texas governor stuff, generating a lot
that's his future.
Yeah, him or Ellinger. Maybe one of them will be lieutenant governor.
Sam's too smart to do that. He's going to stay in the private sector. I can see Taft doing that.
Ellinger will pull the strings from behind the curtain, and
yes,
Taft will be the
Samuel's going private sector.
Anyway, so there were so many stories about Texas. It was hard to get to Colin Simmons, but as we know here, there's a chance that we'll be walking out of the Columbus game if we go. After the Columbus game, the story could be, holy crap, Colin Simmons just ended Julian Sayin in front of a national television audience. Like that might be the dominant story.
Because Ohio State, they were deploying that Rice transfer at one tackle spot, and then the other one is it a guard that they had or someone who's been there for a while?
Like, we can't knock Rice transfers. We can't do that.
That's true.
Our boy Calvin Anderson came through in the clutch for that 1 year.
They had 2 transfers at tackle, but there's this dude that's played some guard and some tackle in the last few years that apparently is just leveling up, and Ryan Day's been like, he's the right tackle.
I mean, they're going to be good.
You know what's similar? It's similar to Texas. They lost some offensive linemen just like the Horns did.
I think Trevor Gooseby, oddly enough, was kind of talked about more than Colin Simmons. And Stark made a point to
he'll be drafted earlier.
He made a point to talk about Trevor Gooseby a lot. And he even mentioned, and you can fill in the blanks on who this is. It's like Stark said that a recruit came to him and was in the office. It's like, who do you remind me of? Trevor Gooseby was in the room right there. It's like, that's who I think you look like. He entered school at 270 pounds, 6'7", and he's at, just under 320 right now. So figure out who maybe that offensive tackle recruit was. But
Malachi Lee.
They're no.
Sorry to give it away.
Yeah. Anyway, Trevor Gooseby is someone that they have high expectations for, and we've mentioned it a lot. Whenever Sark gets talking, he hits the high notes. He's got a lot of pre-prepared stuff, but not all of that's been about Trevor Gooseby. And this is someone who, Justin, they really do believe, for as many questions as they might have at right tackle, there are a lack of questions at left tackle because of what Gooseby could be.
That's why I love Inside Texas, honestly. It's because of Trevor Gooseby. Because for 2 years, we've been writing what we've been hearing about what he's been doing in the offseason and doing as a backup and doing in his development role. And it's been destroying people for 2 years. But he just had this one big guy in front of him the whole time in a Kelvin Banks. And he had the ultimate patience to wait his turn. He loves Kyle Flood, loves the system, completely bought into what they're doing. He said, you know what, I'll have patience. But the day after the Texas A&M game, Trevor Gooseby became the most important player on the roster for that window. And it's because that's the blind side for Arch Manning. And Trevor has known that since he came in. And Arch has known that, and his circle has known that. That's why him and Trevor connect really well, because they know they need each other for this thing to work. And so you lose a first-round pick at offensive tackle, you expect to take a step back. There won't be any steps back. I'm not saying Gooseby's going to be better than Kelvin Banks, but the NFL is going to view him in a higher light. He's much bigger, much more athletic, much stronger, better feet. Like Trevor Gooseby is he's one of the best offensive tackles in the country. He had the highest grade per snaps at tackle in the SEC last year. And so, and he played, where did he play against Ohio State? Right tackle. Like he popped in, if y'all remember, for Cam Williams. He slid in at right tackle. This guy is that type of versatility. And so not
Ohio State. They probably should have done that against Ohio State because Cam
he played against Ohio State. He played right tackle.
No, he didn't. Cam Williams gave up the sack of the season.
Yeah, and Cam came out. Do you not remember Cam getting hurt or the concussion or the helmet? Was it that or was it Arizona State?
It was Arizona State. Cam was the main right tackle for.
Okay, then it was Arizona State. Well, Gooseby came in and played right tackle. It was wherever Cam got hurt in the playoffs. Do y'all not remember that?
That was Clemson.
Okay, Clemson.
I think that I can't remember exactly.
But you know what I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
Trevor Gooseby played right tackle. He had that type of versatility.
He did that in the season too, I think.
He was the first guy off the bench at any spot, to be honest with you. But just understand they have unbelievable faith in Trevor Gooseby. I don't think they're going to take a step back. I'm not necessarily going to say that he's better than Banks. I'm not silly, but he's going to be as good. And yeah, that was the Clemson game. I knew it was one of the games where Cam got hurt and Gooseby. You know why? Because Cam's family, Trevor's family didn't know he could play right tackle. And after the game, they're telling him, wait a minute, what were you doing line up at right tackle? He says, well, I've been taking some reps over there just in case something happened. Something did happen. Gooseby came in, and they didn't skip a beat again.
Nice. Hey, Justin, are you ready to admit yet that you were wrong and that Nick Brooks is going to be the next guy that we talk about for a year or two until he emerges as the next great tackle?
I have only said that 9 times. I've only written it 15 times. I'm going to own up on it. Okay. I am in the category now that he is going to be a capable offensive tackle. I am not about to sit here and look at you and say he's in the Kelvin Banks, Trevor Gooseby category. No.
What about Cam Williams?
What's that?
Can he be Cam Williams?
Yeah, he can. And I was wrong. I thought this guy was going to be a guard. I saw him in person. Playing tackle just looked very uncomfortable for him. Half the time, he wasn't really squatting. He was kind of lining up like a tight end at left tackle because he didn't understand you have to kind of get in a stance.
And no need to
really get into a stance. And so we're supposed to project him at tackle. He gets in Austin. He gets all that stuff down. If he stays on the path and they keep all the good people in his circle around him, Nick Brooks is going to be a major contributor, but he is not in the Banks Gooseby conversation. Not yet. But no, you're right. I was wrong. I did not think he was going to play tackle. And actually, he's going to probably be relied on this year in some instances. He might be the third tackle off the bench.
I want him when you want it again. I'll let it go now.
That kind of leads to my next
keep
question.
Bringing it. I'll own it up, brother. You can keep bringing it. I got to show you some tape that I saw when I was in Grayson. And if I show you the tape, it was illegal procedure like 4 times. And it was just because he couldn't actually get into a stance. It's like, wait a minute, you've got too many guys on the line of scrimmage line standing up. He's like, I'm bending. He goes, no, you're not bending.
How concerned are y'all about right tackle? I think that there's room for concern about left guard, but we know who it's going to be. It's going to be Neto. Yeah. Unless Connor Robertson levels way the heck up, moves
and pushes Cole Hudson to left. Yeah.
We'll see if that happens. But how concerned are y'all about right tackle?
I think the statute of limitations is up on this, but Tom Herman used to do, or a couple times he did off the record deals with the local media, and he would give the local media like all kinds of good scoop. And then
some good scoop.
Some of it was really good. And
it is off the record, so be careful. It's off the record, stays off the record, in my opinion.
Yeah, that worked for about 6 months.
Hard. And some statute of limitations still applies. Some coaches might think that you can get by without a great right tackle.
Not in this conference.
I don't see it in any conference, really.
Not in the Big Ten.
The example that I'm thinking of would apply in anywhere. But
yeah, but I know you're talking about. I don't want to dog on him because I know the problem wasn't him. It was he was.
I don't think you're thinking of what I'm thinking of. But I don't want to be explicit.
I'd love to know what Ian is thinking of.
I'll tell you after the show. I don't think it would really burn anything, but you're right that off the record is off the record. So
if it's about Javonte Shepard, we gotta let that thing go.
No. But right tackle though, it's going to be
Tristan Nicholson. He's got some eligibility.
That's not a full answer at this point, is it, Justin?
I'll say this: last year, Ohio State lost Josh Simmons, their left tackle, before the playoffs.
Yeah,
and I don't know if their right tackle was anything special, and they won the championship.
Here's the thing about Ohio State at right tackle. If you don't know much about that right tackle, I can promise you he's pretty well known among other college circles. Ohio State's not going to put one of their 5 guys on that line that aren't somewhat a known commodity. They're not going to do that. Here's my thing. I would much rather have Brandon Baker as a junior or a redshirt junior than as a redshirt sophomore. I would feel better.
That's another problem.
Well, that's the thing. I would feel more comfortable if Baker had a year of experience under him. You know, Cam came in and got some snaps before he was the full-time starter. Brandon never really did that. Brandon has the most upside. He is super athletic, incredible frame, like rarely any body fat. Like that guy is what an offensive tackle in the NFL. That's kind of what they look like. But we need to see that experience at right tackle. Give him a month, he may be just fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just if you can get away from the 16 offensive penalties that Cam Williams had, if you can say cut those in half, I consider Brandon Baker a success.
Could be. Hey, Rex St. Charles says, we survived with Tristan Nicholson. I kind of didn't, actually.
No, Texas did not. That's why I brought him up. Texas did not. That kid should have been playing post in basketball.
He was, he was like the ideal.
Did Iowa State absolutely kill him one game?
A lot of people did. He was a great culture guy, I think. He
was.
He worked hard.
Dad. He had a great dad, great family. He was.
They, on third downs in 2016 and 2017, when he had to play, it was like they were just like Shane Buechele nearly got killed playing behind him.
This is a good offensive line question to continue with. Will Neto benefit from playing next to Cousby? Those are two big dudes on the left. I think so. Neto, he's got to pass protect better. He also lunges, at least he did last year. But I think if you have somebody who's high quality next to you, it's going to help you in your own way. Or, I think Goosby's going to be smart enough to come help him when he needs to.
Was Nicholson from left? I'm sorry. Michael's got me. Was he from Creek? I went to Clear Creek.
He was from a JUCO.
Yeah, he was JUCO, but I can't remember where he was in high school. I don't think it was Clear Creek. I think the last Clear Creek kid for Texas was Marcus Davis, the corner in the late 2000s that wound up transferring to Oregon. But that's something. Oh, Desmond Harrison. Remember, wasn't he the one that had the story about hurting Jackson Jeffcoat? Wasn't that the one that stonewalled him with one arm accidentally?
Yeah, I think so.
Desmond Harrison was Schrodinger's offensive tackle. Sometimes he was on the team, sometimes he wasn't.
He was always present because that dude was ginormous. And I love my man Michael bringing up Terrell Cooney. That's a Jasper, Texas kid. Yeah, that was one of the last Mac Brown O-line takes, and thank God.
I think he's coaching.
Mac Brown phoned in that last few years.
Tristan Nicholson came from
Clear Falls. I was about to say Clear Falls.
City.
He wasn't a Clear Creek Wildcat. I got to raise up from a Clear Creek Wildcats.
Did y'all? I guess last couple things to hit on. Just let's do recruiting real quick, and then there's one more SEC Media Days one. Justin, with Atkinson jumping in, where do you maybe see linebacker going in recruiting after adding a 5-star and adding a high-quality ball of clay with Kosi Okpala?
I'm going to give you a little bit of scoop for the viewers because they've been so good to us today, and we're so glad they make it a part of our day. Don't be surprised if Texas is still going after Braden Rouse. I think Texas still wants Braden Rouse. And you think, well, how could you get both? It's going to be – if Texas wants somebody, they'll do what they need to do to put themselves in a position to get him. Do I think he's flipping from Tennessee? No, not right now. That kid is loyal to the soil with that group. But Texas really, really likes Braden Rouse. They're not going to give up on that guy. And so I think that's a guy. There's another one, Isaiah Williams. He's committed to Ole Miss. That's a linebacker that hasn't been mentioned a lot, but Texas has been talking to behind the scenes. They're not done at linebacker. They're going to add one more to go along with Kosi and Tyler. It remains to be seen who that was. I would have loved Calvin Thomas. I absolutely love his upside. That is a very athletic kid that I think is criminal 3-star. I think he committed to North Carolina a couple days ago. Just super, super athletic kid. That's a kid that I think they could go back to if they don't get a Rouse or they don't get an Isaiah Williams or some of these other guys. But don't be surprised if Texas is thinking, you know what? Braden Rouse and Tyler Atkinson would go really well with Kosi Okpala. Seems like far-fetched. But talking to a source last night, they're not done with Braden Rouse, guys.
I guess one more recruiting question leads into some of the stuff you talked about yesterday. Talking about Derek Cooper, do you think Texas is big game hunting for a running back because Sark thinks that might be a large issue in the red zone? Texas just big game hunts for running back. Now, a better running back, if you had 6'1", 227 CJ Baxter falling forward in the end zone, maybe that helps a little bit, but they recruit good running backs because they want good running backs.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the red zone. The fact that he's 6'1 and a half, 6'2", 210 pounds, that just lends you to believe that he would be better suited for the red zone. But Joe, you're right. They go big. When they go fishing, they're not trying to catch a bunch of trout. They want the marlin.
Last one, Ian, you and I kind of like watching the rules presentation that they give every year. Sometime, and there are a few this year. I think, let me try and dig them up. I think I can figure out what they were. The main one is that you are going to see a lot more delay of games on defense.
This is wild, y'all.
We'll see.
I think you'll see it more. So the rule is, and I posted a few GIFs, so if I can actually pull the story up, that will really help. The main rule that they're changing is you can stem fronts. You can move your guys up and down the line.
Yeah, you should be able to shift.
And yes, the point of stemming fronts is to move. There's a secondary objective in like maybe getting the guy to jump. But you can look at that and be like, no, we were just trying to change our alignment. What the new rules are trying to do is make it so anything that's not like a legitimate shift or anything like that gets penalized.
Okay, what's the difference in a legit shift and an illegitimate shift?
So let me show you.
Add an example.
Yeah.
And I know where Joe's going with this. They do that sometimes, that shift and that movement, to see if they can get one of those linemen to potentially jump. Because you'll notice when they do that shift, there's one guy on the edge that's popping up and moving around and moving down. And I think that is to distract the lineman.
So this watch, you see Georgia, they move their line and they march guys up at the line of scrimmage. If Texas moved from that, that'd be a false start because it's a legitimate shift at the line of scrimmage. But what they showed, let me see if I can pull it up here, make sure the sound is not on. So if you zoom in, let me see, they're going to show it over and over. Let me get to it. So these two players right here, the left defensive end and the left defensive tackle, they're going to do what the officials call a legitimate shift. That's a proper movement. That is not a penalty. What is going to become a delay a game is watch this right defensive tackle, the guy lined up over the right guard. It may be tough to see, but he basically just kind of like jumps. Well, hold on.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it's this video or not.
This is it. You can see him. He goes like this.
All he does is flinch. He flinched.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But here's the idea, is that the other guys are shifting their alignment. So even if it's like, well, the main reason they're doing that is to throw the offensive line off, but it has other legitimate devices to it. This guy just goes like this and then stays where he was. So he's not actually shifting his alignment in any meaningful way. The only thing that his action is doing is trying to get the offense to jump. And so that's what they're taking out.
Yeah.
And I got into it.
Differentiate that, Ian.
Because the other guys were in different techniques after they moved.
Okay.
He's in the same technique after he flinches. So there's nothing.
Okay. I got you.
No, I for that reason, I don't think this is going to get called that much. Because if defensive coaches really want to do this, you wonder if that guy was doing that just to get the offside steal, or if he's doing it because he kind of forgot what he's actually supposed to do, and so he just stayed put.
So Homer has been watching, and he just sent me a good link to a video where Kirby Smart is talking about this, and let me get it pulled up. Does that look right? Yep. Does this look? I don't
know if Kirby fully understood the new rule, because when he was complaining about it at media days,
I don't think he understands it. I think he's not happy.
I don't know if he did,
because he was a stem son of a gun in that Texas first game.
Right.
They can keep doing that. And when they did that to Texas last year, Sark and all the Texas fans were like, "Isn't that a disconcerting? Shouldn't they not be allowed to do that?" And the media and the refs were like, "No, they can do it."
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Here's what Kirby said. This comes from Ty Gower on Twitter.
We want to take the front and be a 3 down and go to a 4 down. We want to get a 4 down and go to a 3 down. And ultimately, what happened? A lot of guys were jumping off sides when we moved, and that's a tackle for a loss in my mind. And so for us, it was a situation where he confused the offense. We stemmed the front. We went from 3 down to 4 down. First play of the Florida game, they jumped.
And so I'll pause real quick. That's still legal.
Yeah.
You can do that. And like Kirby is talking about, the point is to change the front, but the secondary point is to maybe get a free flag. What it's removing, and we'll play it out, there's only a couple minutes on it. What it's removing is like, what John McDade, who's a coordinator of officials, said was, you can do stuff in concert, but if you're doing something by yourself, and I didn't make this comparison fully, but like, when you pump fake and then the guy jumps and you jump into him and you get a foul, it seems like they're trying to take that out of the game.
It's called the SGA.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to take that part out of the game because it's like, as the guy said, it's not compelling football. So we'll see what Kirby keeps going with.
I agree with that, by the way. Like, none of us are turning the TV on to watch false starts. Yeah.
So that's the big aspect. And Texas does this. My only question about what's going to happen is, if you're calling Simmons and you're trying to jump the snap count, what happens if you just miss it? And, I know if you go in the neutral zone, all bets are off because you're in the neutral zone. You're not supposed to be there. But what happens if, you're trying to jump and do that? Like, where's the line? And that's what I asked, like, where's the line for this foul? And he said, if it's not coordinated with his teammates, he can't, this is what he said, he can't be doing it for the sake of just creating and simulating action of the snap. A lot of extra movement with his arms coming forward as he does it. Just changing his width laterally or stemming, that's fine. But they don't want, like you mentioned, Ian, guys trying to draw guys off sides. It's not compelling football, but I'm very curious how it's officiated. Yeah. Because at some point there's going to be a delay of game, defense, 5-yard penalty, and
automatic first down.
It's not automatic, I don't think.
No, I'm saying it would be like on a 3rd and 4.
Well, yeah,
results or something, and then you're going to have DCs losing their mind.
I do wonder how much it might limit maybe what pass rushers are able to do, how risky they're willing to get with trying to jump the snap.
If you're off the ball, are you allowed to run at the snap? Are you allowed to run at the line and then pull up?
Yes, but you can also get this foul off the ball.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
How do you get it off the ball?
So,
because if I'm a linebacker and I'm like,
they fake that blitz to see if they can get the quarterback to change his timing for 1 second, then they can shoot back into a coverage. That can't be illegal.
I asked that. It's like, what's the line? And let me see if I can.
Well, we're figuring that out right now. Let's just go out there. It's just like the targeting rule. Well, we're kind of figuring this out. So why don't you just go out there and play, and we'll make a call when it's at the most pivotal moment of the most pivotal game, and people on social media will lose their flipping mind.
I see.
It's strategic.
So this is he said anybody on the defensive side of the ball can be called for delay a game, but the focus is on the line of scrimmage. And the quote was, what this all boils down to, and I'll actually get this quote on the screen. Go to the article, delay a game on the defense. Get ready to see that. What this all boils down to is it's not in the spirit of the rules to have strategies and techniques to get your opponent to foul before the snap. That's the bottom line. That's why we've had these decades for quarterback signaling. They can't have the head bob. So you can do like hut, but you can't do
okay. But what about the quarterback set?
You can do that. That's part of the signal.
And then
if you're the quarterback and you go, but you don't snap the ball, that's false start.
Right. But a lot of quarterbacks, that's a line.
Correct.
It's a very. Jackson Dart was probably the king of that.
You can still clap count. They're not getting rid of that.
You have to let them clap.
I know. But I'm just wondering where how much wiggle room there is there.
The clap is not. You could maybe use it to try to get them off sides. But the main point of changing up the clap count is so that they don't time your snap.
Yeah.
Homer's right. It's going to be tough to enforce.
I know, but I think it's one of those things where we see it one time, and it's kind of defensive false start. And, even if you don't go in a lineman who like is in his 3-point stance and just kind of goes like, huh, that's a false start. They're trying to make sure that a defensive player who does that before the snap, whose sole purpose is trying to get the offensive guy to commit a foul, that's what they're trying to legislate out of the game. And it makes sense, but the application is going to be very, very difficult.
I'm with you. The execution, yeah.
So I did not get it pulled up, but whatever. Ian, deep dive today. What you got coming?
Paul wrote an article about Texas as the favorite to win the national championship and what exactly that means. Like, what are the odds telling us about Texas versus the field? And we're going to get into that. Also, we're going to be live at 1:30. I think 1 or 1:30. I think 1:30.
I got to set my alarm.
We'll talk about that, but everybody come and bring your questions too.
I love it when y'all go live.
Yeah, we all do. It's just
a lot of fun, man.
1:30.
That's a great watch. That's a great watch, guys.
1:30 Central. So I'm going to have to get my watch set up right. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And, of course, Prospectus.com. $1 until August 30th. That'll get you access all the way up to the Ohio State game, recruiting team, everything you need to know about the Texas Longhorns and their football program. Hey, and our guy Keenan Womack has some hoops in there too. So come join. $1 until August 30th. And go into the link in our description. By Paul Wadlington's Thinking Texas Football, the best Longhorn preview there is on the market. Worth it every single year. I read it before the season, before individual opponents. You're not going to want to miss this edition. You never want to miss any edition. So, Justin, thank you so much. Ian, thank you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas, on IT Live, presented by Academy Sports Outdoors.